Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the new Marvel Legends Crossbones. This one is one that I think some people were pretty excited for, and I think maybe, just maybe, now I don't know for sure, but I think maybe Hasbro knew that and decided they wouldn't put any effort into it at all. It's mostly reused parts, and it doesn't look good at all. In any way. It's terrible. I can't imagine anybody actually buying this and being satisfied after the fact. If you happen to like it, then hey, enjoy your figure, do you, but this review is going to be based on quality, not personal preference, and unless your preference is quality. So if you're a big fan of this figure and have a tendency to be offended, then this might not be the video for you. Let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 7 inches tall, which makes him pretty close to, let's say, just shy of 18 centimeters. And as I mentioned, he uses a lot of old parts, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Very first glance, first notice, you can see it without even really looking at the figure. The proportions are absolutely 100% ridiculous. This thing is laughably goofy looking. It couldn't be less intimidating with his head sitting that far away from the rest of his body. Oh my goodness, does he have a really ridiculously long neck. And it's because this is the Hyperion body, which has some of the worst anatomy we've ever seen on a Hasbro figure, but they also just stuck the head on top of the neck rather than seating it properly. It's like they don't understand that on an action figure, the neck has to be long in order to accommodate the articulation, and then you sit the head down over it, not on top of it. And on top of that, no pun intended, I mean, obviously they had to do the tank top, but it makes it stand out even more obviously. Look how big his neck is. Look how long it is. Look how peanutty his head is, which would be fine, by the way. I'll do a Photoshop for you. Small head looks good on a big guy like this because it makes him look like he's supposed to, but not at the top of a mountain range of a neck like that. It's just so goofy looking. And on top of that, again, no pun intended, the proportions for the legs are still just terrible. His lower legs are way bigger than his upper legs. That's not how legs work. Your thighs are longer than your calves. Well, the upper leg is longer than the lower leg. It's not just your thighs and calves, it's the whole thing. And this is just not right. And his feet are humongous. The proportions on this guy are all around ridiculous. His shoulders are so far forward on his chest. It looks like he's constantly hunched over. He's got some kind of arthritis. I don't know what's going on. The paint job for the face, I mean, the lines are technically clean, but I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. I think it kind of is. It's just all kinds of translucent, and it's not opaque at all, the white. You can see black coming through. You can see lines where the different parts overlay. I mean, I get that painting white on black is hard, but they chose to make the figure, so they have an obligation to do it properly. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you don't want to do it right, then just don't do it. The crossbones, again, clean on the edges, but very translucent, not good. Belt buckle is painted, that's okay. There's not much paint anywhere else. Another set of buckles right there, but that's it. It's just, there's no wash, there's no shading, there's nothing really to bring this guy back. I will give them a little bit of credit for giving him his shiny boots, giving him some shiny boots, that's okay. The headband, or the tie for his thing, is just permanently like that. It's just floating out there, hanging out there like that. No posability, no nothing. God. Aesthetically speaking, this guy is a travesty. It's not good. They took one of their worst bodies and made it even worse. So, 2 out of 10 for the aesthetic. As far as the accessories go, we have a couple of what appear to be like double barrel shotgun pistol type things, futuristic type, old-timey type stuff. I don't know if that's like an iconic thing for him or not, it doesn't matter, those are okay. And then there's no paint on them though. And then we also have these other pistols, which I'm pretty sure came with a Star-Lord figure or some other figure that we saw before. I can't remember, I can't quite place it, but they look terrible on this guy. They don't match him at all. This light silvery color, platinum color, looks goofy as heck. Not having any sort of trigger or trigger guard on it is goofy. They fit in the holsters, but that's about it. So as far as accessories go, I guess 4 out of 10. It's not great, but you do get a couple of guns that are decent enough that he can hold okay, so that's fine. Now as far as articulation goes, the head can look down, thank God, because no one else is going to be at that level of his head, and not up really at all. It does rotate, of course, and then you have a ball peg to wiggle that goofy ass head on top of that giant neck. Shoulders, of course, rotate. We've seen this all before. The articulation tends to function okay on this body, even though it's a terrible body, so it's not a whole lot to really talk about here, but I'll run through it anyway. Wrist swivel. We do have the right kind of hinges. Mine are kind of tight, but we do have the right kind of hinges for pistols, so that is good. I like that they did that. That is always appreciated, so bonus points for that. Ab crunch is still a decent functioning ab crunch, kind of ugly. Waist swivel is fine. Floating belt. These guys are all floating. They shouldn't really impede articulation too much, and they don't. That's all okay. That's fine. Thigh swivels there. Double jointed knee. Boot swivel. Feet go all the way back. Feet go all the way forward. Ankle rocker's kind of crooked, but you do get this, so that is fine. So articulation, I'll give it a 7. It's still fine. It's not impressive or anything. There's still some issues, but it's the same as it's always been, which is perfectly adequate. It's just a shame that it's such a goofy looking body. God, it's such a terrible body. Oh man, and this figure just accentuates every bad thing about it and even adds to it. Good grief. Alright, final verdict on this abomination of a figure. Don't buy it. Honestly, it's not worth buying, even if you really want this version of this character. That doesn't make it worth buying. Not everything has to be purchased, guys. There will be good ones. If you buy bad ones, they're not going to make good ones because they have no incentive to. Please don't buy bad figures. This one is objectively 100%, no matter what kind of preferences you have, unless you prefer giraffe-looking goofy people. I almost used a different phrase. This one is not worth owning. No matter what the price is, you're not going to enjoy having it unless you're like a little kid and don't care about anything other than I got a guy with a skull mask on his head. So, final verdict is don't buy it at all. 3 out of 10. Terrible, terrible, terrible. One of the worst things they've ever produced figure. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. That helps out a whole bunch. And if you didn't, go ahead and give it a thumbs down, because technically that still helps out too, and it makes no difference. So go ahead and do one of those two things. If you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I've got thousands of videos already on the channel. New videos coming out just about every single day, except for when there's a huge dry spell and a virus shutting down the entire country. Then sometimes there's not enough stuff for me to review, and I can't do anything about that, but that's the case. And otherwise, I do have, like I said, all those other videos to come check out. If you're really hankering for some YouTube action figure watching, you can do that. So come back for all that good stuff, and in the meantime, keep collecting.